I've lately I haven't really even presented as an option. Our next step is we're going to go ahead and, do this, where we have that baseball field, right? We explain the next steps. And I really just assume it the whole time and assume the sale. So what we're going to do is this, we're going to go ahead and create a set of loan disclosures. We're going to go ahead and send them out. You're going to do electronic signatures. Now, just remember, those numbers are really just placeholders for now. We realize that the purchase price could change, the interest rates could change, of course, but at least it's going to give us a parameter so we can underwrite. You're going to go ahead and electronically sign those. Then we're going to send you over a credit card form for the $495 deposit. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and completely underwrite your file. So really, I'm not really asking them if they want to do it. I'm just telling them that. Now, and then if they have any objection at that point, they can voice it, right? So I've just sort of morphed to just assuming it. That's our process, just what we do.
I like it.
Brendan, you're muted.
You're on mute.
Sorry. Say that one more time quickly. When you're finishing the meeting,
yeah,
we obviously have first, second, and third base.
Right.
And we show that in Smart Start that first is pre-qual, second is pre-approval, third is upfront underwriting.
Yeah.
How do you close again?
So I just simply say, so our next step is we're going to go ahead and prepare based on, what your goals are and what you feel like your top purchase price will be. Like you said, your top purchase price is going to be about $750. So I'm going to go ahead and bump it to $8, just to be safe, right? Just to give you a little bit extra room. I'm going to go ahead and set it up at 10% down for right now. Okay, that'll put us under the conventional loan limit. We're going to send you out the loan disclosures, okay? And you're going to go ahead and electronically sign all those. Now, keep in mind, those numbers are placeholders for now. We know that the purchase price could change depending on the property you find. We know interest rates fluctuate, so that they can go up or down. But at least it'll give us a framework so we can underwrite your file and put you in the highest leverage position. So you can expect those probably, today's Friday. I would say probably by later in the day on Monday, you should expect those in your inbox. After you electronically sign them, we'll go ahead and send you out the $495 deposit. Now, the great news about that is, you have up to 12 months to use it. So if you ended up buying, let's say in the fall versus, if you just couldn't find the right house, you end up buying in the fall, then you can still use that, our certified buyer pre-approval, which is fantastic.
Nice.
And that's it. And then just stop. Any questions?
And no, but I had something. I was going to add something to that.
Go ahead.
So I basically tell people that it makes their offer 10 times better than everybody else's because they have a mortgage commitment letter versus a pre-approval letter.
Oh, for sure.
And that the whole front end of their process is done. So when they actually go under contract, it is like so much smoother and easier. And then people are sold.
100%. And that's, Amy, that's sort of the groundwork that we lay while we're talking about that, like the first base, second base, third base. So 100% agree. Yeah, definitely explaining the leverage. And then sometimes I'll throw in a story, like a story where somebody didn't do it because they just, I don't know, non-committal, made an offer on the 5th house they saw. There was 5 offers. They got outbid. They just were crushed, super disappointed. Came back and said, "Hey, Michael, what was that program you were saying that could increase our leverage? We do not want to lose another house like that." And they came back. We finished the pre-approval, and we were successful on the very next bid. Sometimes stories sell, so sometimes stories are helpful for people to understand because they don't know what their disappointments are going to be right now because they haven't gone through their disappointments, right? They haven't lost the perfect home, right? They haven't lost it yet. So it's our job to sort of paint the picture of how a very simple deposit that is, by the way, refundable makes a world of difference in negotiating. And then I'll show them, here's a pre-approval letter. Here's a commitment letter. If you're a listing agent making a decision on which offer to choose, which verbiage do you like better? What sounds like it's been vetted more, right? Which is a stronger offer?
Michael, you have those scenarios in your Smart Start?
I don't have them, but I have them saved so I can pull them up in the Smart
Yeah.
Start. Yeah.
I think, Gloricel, your question is a great question because it goes back to when we've spent that 45 minutes, Michael, you know, they've remember they were referred to you. Michael said, hey, we use this form called an MRO, monthly referral organizer. Like you're getting referred, you're setting the appointment, they're coming in, they're filling out an all about you. This is a scheduled time. This is consultative. This is relational. This is not transactional. So when you're selling relationship and you're going through all that, you've gone through, you know, here's all these steps. And then you're to this point, Gloricel, where you might turn back into a salesperson. It might be that you're, well, hey, so at this point, like, and you're going, oh shit, I've got to sell this $495. And Michael's just like, hey, so from here, this is what we do. What I've found and how I sell it is simply by saying, hey, you know, at this point, has this been helpful? We've gone through all of these things. We've answered all of these questions and we've established, and I'm using the Your Next Steps piece of paper and saying, so, you know, I'm looking at my notes, Gloricel, and I think that we're inside of 6 months based on what you guys said about your lease. And I think that there's a couple things with your paperwork, your overtime, and your husband's bonuses. It's not crazy rocket science, but it's something where I really want that underwriter to stamp that income, because when I send you the mortgage scale and I'm a little off because the underwriter disagrees, that maximum number, we're not going to have 100% confidence with just a pre-approval that would be branch level. So I'm going to recommend that we do this and we move forward with the upfront commitment. And like, you know, and hey, it's good for up to a year. You'll be credited back the funds. But here's where I think it's super important. What do you know about when we go out and compete against other buyers? What do you know about that in the marketplace? Gloricel, you can role play with me.
What do I know about? Well, we're not
Yeah.
the cheapest lender in town. Is that what you're asking?
No. You're the client. So Gloricel,
I'm the client.
what do you know about when you and your husband go out in the marketplace and start writing offers, competing against other people? Because you had mentioned, you know, Marietta was where you want to be in that 600 to 700 range, and we talked about that a little earlier about how sometimes they just fly off the shelf. So what do you know about once you're competing for that, what that looks like?
I know that it can be very stressful and that my realtor says there's not enough inventory and there's a lot of offers on one home. That's going to be very competitive.
And tell me what you know about how sellers look at those offers and how the listing agents view it.
I've heard that they go, you know, highest and best. But you know, this is my first home, so I'm not really sure.
Okay, well, thanks for being honest. Here's what I've found is that highest and best sometimes, but then sometimes it's the confidence of the communication coming from the buyer, the buyer's agent, the buyer's lender, and the whole communication of what you're offering and how thoroughly you're approved. So I do believe that when we communicate with a listing agent with an upfront commitment, that there's zero wiggle room there other than the appraisal, and they know that. And if I can communicate that because I know that, and my underwriter knows that, and my whole team knows that, I believe it's totally worth the deposit that we collect. And hey, the downside would be you don't do something for a year, or you guys decide to move somewhere else and never buy. You've made that investment, at least to know that when you are going into battle, that we've got all those things behind us. Because I have found this, Gloricel, that when people lose their first offer or the house that they really wanted, it's really deflating. I've had tears. I've had people so upset, and it was kind of due to a lack of preparation. We could have been a little bit more prepared. So with that said, I'm going to get these disclosures. If you're not against it, let's get this moving. The Michael Anthony way, we'll get them out. You're going to get the 495 request. We'll get that in, and then we can schedule a call next Tuesday or Wednesday just to circle back on this and review your mortgage scale or any other questions that, by the way, your husband's name is Fred, that you and Fred have.
Okay.
Mm.
One other thing, Brendan, is around here, Atlanta area, there's a lot of cash offers. Even in these higher price points, $750, $800, $850, you're seeing cash offers. So one really good incentive is that if they're fully underwritten, it gives them as much leverage as a cash offer, because a lot of times that's what's happening is they're putting in an offer and then there's a cash offer on the same, in the same house.
Well, and the way that you went about that, Brendan, was excellent. And Glorcel, let me ask you this question. What are the objections that somebody gives you? Like, if you're not collecting the fee, what are they saying? Are they saying, well, we just, let me think about it? Or what are they telling you?
Yeah, sometimes they're just like, let me think about it. And I think maybe they're just not, they think, if they're a little bit further out from buying. So if they're more than, you're 30, 60 days out, then they're like, well, let me think about it. Typically, if they're wanting to purchase pretty quickly, in the next 30, 60 days, it's very easy to collect it. It's just the ones that are a little further out that sometimes, want to think about it a little bit more.
Well, I think, do you have the follow-up, Benton? Can you show that follow-up, your next steps? Pull that up.
Yeah.
Do you use this, Glorcel?
I'm going to be honest. I think you have sent it to me and I have not used it.
Here, pull it up.
Calling myself out.
Pull it up and share the screen. And then I'm going to pretend that, can you guys see my little arrow? No?
No, I don't think so.
Need to see your face, Brendan.
Okay, yeah. I can't really use my little pointer arrow. Okay, zoom in on that. Scroll up. So, Glorcel, you and Fred had just mentioned that your lease is up February. My light. Oh, look, motion sensor. I like swimming. Glorcel, pretend I'm writing here. You guys had mentioned that your lease is up in February. And I think one of the homework notes I had was see what your landlord, to break the lease, because you said you guys were renting for $2,500. My guess is to break the lease, it's $5,000. So I'm circling June of 24 on that calendar, and I'm circling June because it's June 6th today, or the 7th. And you said your lease is up February of 25, and I'm circling that. You with me? You're on mute.
I'm with you.
So Glorcel,
So they can see a timeline. I like it.
So Glorcel, it looks like this. Let's say you wanted to buy, like your lease is up, so you're done in January, so you want to be in your new house February 1. What I'm thinking is we're starting to look in and then I'll point to December. Benton, point to December of 24. Like zoom in on this. Okay, so maybe even November. So if we're in June, July, August, September, October, November, we don't have that much time. And I also think that, one of my biggest homework assignments for you is confirming that lease break fee. But looking at my notes, one of your questions was, can we afford to move right now with the $65,000 you have in savings and the $20,000 from your grandmother in a gift? We already determined that in the meeting that yes, you could afford to move right now. So my thoughts would be this. If you're not opposed to this, let's just make sure that the mortgage scale I send you in the next 24, 48 hours, let's do a follow-up next week. But then let's decide by maybe August 1, if you can figure out your one homework assignment, let's decide by August 1, the getting officially underwritten, So I'll circle back with you on that date, or like we could confirm that, because there's nothing worse that I've done thousands, hundreds, dozens of these meetings, whatever you want to say, where time gets ahead of us real quick. Like summer's going to happen. We're right there in August, September. And I don't want to be the annoying salesperson that's following up with you. What I want to be is, your advisor and your advocate. So I'm just going to tell you, this timeline gets massively condensed, Gloricel and Fred, when all of a sudden you turn left on Hiawatha Street and a house, and it's August or September, and you guys get that itch. So I just want you to be prepared, knowing that this would be for a full year, that this would be good. So I'll just circle back. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Cool. You just need to up that. We know that the average lead is not inside 60 days. We know that because we've done this too long. So I agree with you. I got a floater lead right now, just like this, that's bugging the snot out of me because I crushed the Smart Start last week. And I really like the realtor that sent the deal, and we've kind of gotten in backward stall. And, I had encouraged kind of the same way, but she works for a property management group where she's allowed to live in their cool places at a massive discount month to month. They walked into a $2 million model home. They really can afford up to $1 million. Sweet couple. They make about $300,000 total, and they've got about $400,000 between savings, all this stuff. They should own a home, but they kind of just got flippant at the end, and then it's like the follow-up. I didn't Michael Anthony it. I didn't just say, hey, from here, this is what we do, and we'll have you guys ready. Like, here's how it works, and wait for an objection. Because honestly, Michael, I think you might have had them done.
Yeah. Well, and also too, we've all had customers that say, yeah, I'm going to buy in the next, 4 to 6 months. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, they call you and say, yeah, we found a house we like. And you're thinking, wait a minute, what happened to 4 months? Right? That happens all the time, because I think people in their mind, when they've committed to buying a home, that timeline really tends to shrink. Yeah. So, just having, being prepared, having it completely done. And then sometimes, Gloricel, you could also point back to the file. Maybe there's always something in somebody's file that might be a road, like a bump in the road or something that we really want underwriting to look at. So it's maybe it's pointing out the pain point and say, look, Fred's job, he's been there for 3 months. I know that some of his income is variable. I just feel much more comfortable having an underwriter take a look at the income. I just think it makes sense. And let's just get the underwriting piece behind us, so we have full confidence that when you're out looking, that we're going to be able to execute on this and there's going to be no issues. Would you be against that? So you can always find something in a file, right? There's always something.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the one thing back to Phil Jones. He was talking about curiosity, and he said, without comparison, you cannot deliver value. Without comparison, you can't deliver value. And when you're curious long enough, that equals empathy. When you're curious long enough, your empathy. And empathy he described as when you care about what people you care about. And so he said, like, when you're super relatable, and this curiosity, like this context, like I wrote content versus context. I think we're leaving too much to their imagination, which they don't even know because they've never done it.
Yeah.
So if we can say, hey, I'm curious, what are you going to gain by thinking about or waiting in your mind?
Yeah.
Is it the investment? Because it is refundable towards your closing costs. I'm just curious, what do you gain by waiting to make this decision for you guys? And you can be honest with me, we've invested an hour of time. You were referred by Betty. That I told you to come in. There's no hard close here. This is just me asking you, how do you gain by thinking about things? Well, I mean, Gloracell, like, that's where, like, in the end, if we become more curious, and maybe you could ask it better. Maybe you could just say, hey, help me understand what studying or thinking about this more looks like to you guys. I've done this a very long time, and I'm very aware that when people think about things, then all of a sudden, we were just talking about this in a support group of loan officers. We had several clients, and this was really all across the country, that when they think about things, they stew, and then all of a sudden something happens, and then they're not prepared. Well, I'm trying to think of another way to say it. Michael, if you're confronting, and it's not in our nature to confront.
Right. Yeah, I think you put it a good way. I mean, you really want to get down to the root issue, because it's probably not the 495. Is it, are they ready to commit? Right. I don't know.
Yeah, it would be, and I go back to, like, I'm trying to think of the Phil Jones, and hey, I realize that this isn't for everybody. You know, getting upfront commitment isn't for everyone. But I feel like, based on your timeline, I wouldn't be misadvising you to have you go through this process. Because in the end, I'm never surprised by how quickly, once people go through this meeting, and we're done with this meeting, other than the mortgage scale review that I'll send to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm always often surprised that when we've answered all these questions that you put at the top of your All About You here, and that this meeting's been productive, that you're going to go home and let this settle, Gloracell, and then you're going to be ready, or you'll be a lot more ready than you were before this meeting. So, hey, scroll down, Benton, on that little form.
And so I think we had a question. I think unknown user was going to ask a question.
Unknown user?
You're up.
Unknown user. You're on mute, unknown user. Or are they? Who knows?
Unknown question.
I got a quick question, Brandon. Brendan, about this packet, our Smart Start packet that we use in our presentation.
Yeah.
Do you keep this form that you got up on the viewing? Do you keep that and you do the writing with the client notes, or what?
God, I love this question. So, you know what I've been doing? It's in their packet, and then I take a picture of it and keep it on my phone. And then the other day I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm a little confused. Because I like to say, was this helpful? You know, I'm using it for testimonial purposes. I've been giving it to them, but I take a picture of it because I fill it out because it has their homework.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might, what's funny is this, I literally was thinking about this for the couple that was bugging me yesterday, Jamie and Callie, is that, like, maybe it's easier to, like, send this after. So that's a great question. We put it in our packet. They keep it. I fill it out. I take a picture of it so I know what I told them to do. But I also have my client notes, which I kind of copy, and, you know, I copy it onto that. So I don't think it would be helpful for you to keep it necessarily, but if you had your phone and you took a picture,
it's a good idea. And then you can just upload it to the file.
Yeah. Sorry, what's going on? Great question though.
Okay.
So Benton, maybe make sure that Atlanta has that,
Because I have it. Yeah, he included it in in the most recent Smart Start packet he provided, but
Oh, okay.
I know I normally fill out the client notes while I'm in the Smart Start with the client, and I've asked him, is it okay to take notes? But I just wanted to find out, how does this come into play when it was attached? Because at first I took it out because I felt like I needed to be filling it out, but I do see what you're saying. Fill it out, take a snapshot, and then when I normally upload the completed All About You file form to their file, I should upload a copy of this too, just to kind of say what we've discussed and what they needed and so forth.
Here's what's funny, Glorcel, or April, like, here are my notes from Jamie and Callie's meeting. Here was their All About You and some of my notes. And then the picture on my phone of their, it's just, that flow needs to be, in my opinion, this form. Here, I have a blank one. I found it. This might just need to sit outside of the stapled Smart Start.
I think so too.
To where people are seeing Smart Start next steps, and they know that that's the final little piece.
Gotcha.
That's what it was originally, and then
we stapled it in.
And then you told me to put it inside it.
You know why? Because we weren't using it.
Yeah.
It was. So to me, it's like All About You and your notes, the stapled form that has the 8 pages, and then that follow-up should be separate so you're not tearing it out of their packet. And then it's not weird. It's not weird that you're reaching across the table and grabbing it. Unknown user.
Thank you.
Thanks, unknown user.
Well, that's April.
I know. I didn't know who it was at first. Any other questions?
No, I'm not the unknown user, Michael. He was just saying that was me with the question that I just
had. You're highlighting when you're talking, you are the unknown user.
That's, yeah. For whatever reason. So,
for whatever reason, you're the unknown user, April.
Any other questions from some of the newer folks?
I think, Michael, the other big struggle people have in getting the consistency of a meeting is they leave too much room for discussion up front from their referral versus just saying, hey, quick triangle of trust. It sounds like you're a first-time home buyer. Before we get started, what did Betty, the realtor, tell you about our process and how we educate her first-time home buyer clients on the process and get them prepared to purchase a home? What did she tell you about our process? Like you can make that line 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but that's the frame setup. That is the setup. What did Ron tell you about how we've helped his clients over the last 5 years successfully get educated up front and then feel comfortable when they're making an offer on a home? What did he tell you about that? Did any of you raise your hand? Did that sound like a mouthful? Because when they're first timers, they'll go, well, Ron said I could need to talk to you or meet with you or do whatever you say. Okay, cool. Well, how I do that is this. And I think that the minute you shift gears and go, now I'm going to Zoom them or face-to-face them, is when all the empathy tools, Phil Jones, create empathy, context, content, comparison, the ability to show and teach, all of this comes into play when you go, Michael, here's how I do that. I'm going to send you an email, and we have a meeting we call Smart Start, and it goes through everything. And at the end of the meeting, we can make a decision. So when do you have time available to come in to meet with me? Because, ready? True story. Got a brand new fishy little lead from a fishy agent. Guy called me the other day, texting me about zero down. He's an HVAC tech. His wife's a teacher. He came on my radar via text in April. Never responded. I sent my link tree, followed up the next day, ghosted me. He goes to church with the realtor. So here's the text chain. Hey, good afternoon. It's Tyler. I'm friends with Nick from church. Needing to see if we can get pre-approved for this house. At 8:30 at night. Let's connect. Ready? My response. Let's connect for an in-face Smart Start meeting tomorrow. Do you have time to come into my office? Question mark. Here's my address. His response. Unfortunately, I work in HVAC from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. My next question. Is this your first time buying a home? Yes. Ready? My response. If you're anything like me, big purchases that I don't have experience with make me nervous. I'd strongly suggest that we set aside at least 45 minutes to go through our process so that you are well prepared prior to jumping in. If you
What did he say to that?
He didn't respond. I said, if you have an email address, I'll send you an outline of what we cover in this meeting. Also, there's a link in my email for you to set up a preliminary file to get all your questions answered in our meeting. Like, fill out your shit. He sends me his email. I send him the link. Mm-hmm. He said, hey, I would have to do it over Zoom. I'm working super late hours. I said, Zoom works great. Then I'm sitting there thinking, I sent him another text. Have you been through any loan pre-approval process before? His text, we had gotten pre-approved a year ago, but then had some stuff hit my credit.
Oh boy.
My next response, okay. And then he said, yeah, my credit's around 720. My wife's is a 580. I said, okay, we definitely look at both applicants' credit. He's then asking me about down payment. Zero down. And I just said, hey, it's very unlikely if we need your wife's income to qualify that a 580 credit score would allow any type of product with zero down or even little down. We can check this in our meeting. So anyways, I called the realtor. The guy didn't do anything. He didn't fill anything out. He didn't follow up. And then I just sent him another text this morning. Look at that text. Hi, Tyler. I know you'd reached out the other day about seeking information about that home and financing. I'm not sure it's for you, but my Smart Start mortgage planning meeting has helped a lot of people understand the home buying process. If you're anything like me, you don't like making big financial decisions in a hurry or worse, without knowing all of your options. If you aren't opposed to a meeting and maybe taking a little time off from work, parentheses, 1 hour, I'd encourage you and your wife to schedule a time to meet with me at my office. Here's where I am located. And now, ready, Michael? I framed this because I don't fucking want to meet this guy on a Saturday. Right. I host these meetings typically on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m., or 3 p.m. Have a great day. Please text me if you'd like to set something up, Brendan. Now, that's a long-ass text. It's a $350 deal. He's a first-time home buyer. He is circling. Yeah. I don't know if another loan professional would have done the loan app that night on a napkin at 8:30.
Oh, I would say most would have.
And by the way, Nick doesn't really like this guy and said he won't follow any direction.
Well, obviously.
So here's my thought. I think that the salesy loan officer did that loan app, spent $30 on a credit report, spent 45 minutes on a paper towel getting his social, then went into Encompass and filled it out themselves and pulled this guy's credit, and the wife's credit sucks. Then they got on the phone the next day, figure out he makes 45, she makes 36. He wants to buy 350. He's got a car. She's got some shitty credit card, some defaulted student loan debt. And now they're an hour and a half in to a horseshit prequel that gets them nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to toe the line and say, do it my way. And I'm going to say, Nick, otherwise find a loan officer that'll do that. And that client makes us swim down a stream that we don't want.
Yeah.
So by the way, framing.
That's discipline.
Yeah,
Kudos to you. Kudos to you, because I think a lot of us would have caved. I really do.
Well, I think this, slow down the process to speed up the execution. Michael, you and I have found joy doing this job 25 years plus each. A lot of people on this call, you don't hold a candle to us. You're nowhere fucking close. And you're like, well, those old guys just don't get it, or they've got too much money and they're too lazy. No, we're smart. We've done this a long time and we're still here teaching it. So the ability to kind of say to this guy, hey man, you're a first-time home buyer. I really want to help you. Like, you go to church with Nick. In the name of God, please. In the name of the Lord, please come in. So the outline of Smart Start, the packet itself, I believe that more of you need to start practice using it and going through it than less of you. And I believe that in the end, once you get good, because this is, in closing, Phil Jones said this, in the beginning, we're going to fumble. When we're trying to work new language and teach new things to clients, it is uncomfortable. It will not be smooth.
Yeah.
Remember, smooth is, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So when you're slowing down and doing these things, I don't think, Michael, as we tweak Smart Start over time, that much, we could add little things that clients want to learn at the top of the All About You that they check off. We have another box that says other. Has anybody ever said, I want to learn something else?
Not usually.
I mean, they might circle something about, hey, I had a bankruptcy I want to know, but that's around, hey, my credit, I need help with my credit.
And let's see, like next week, what I would love to do is have somebody on this call have a Smart Start this coming week, Monday through Thursday or today, and let's dissect it next week. Let's, hey, how did it go? What were the challenges? What went well? Like, I think I'm just looking at who's still on the call. I think probably at least half of these folks do structured loan presentations, right? Smart Start. So I would love to, let's try to, pick it apart and improve on what we're doing. So.
Yeah. And Michael, I recorded one on voice memo.
Yeah.
That was referred by a financial planner last week. And I just had the first 15 minutes that I can get to Benton.
That'd be cool.
And he can get to everyone.
Yeah.
And it was just going through the All About You. It took 15 minutes. And I really just tried to empathize and listen. These people are getting some bad advice from another planner.
Yeah.
And it was just it was a 1 hour, they're first timers. They had been pre-approved like a year ago. It was one of those ones where they were told all these things. So it was kind of like I listened back to it and I was like, man, that was bouncing around a lot of things. Like it was not, but that first 15 minutes we really connected.
Yeah.
And so they're not in a hurry. Their lease ends in another year. And they were scared. Like it was really like, and so one of the things I had said Michael, like in the All About You, because they didn't fill out what's important about working with a lender. And then I was like, well, I don't want to like ask you guys if you're not comfortable answering, but then they kind of did answer. And then I think I said something because I could just sense it was tense. And I said, hey, you're here. Like, what's really important about you guys owning a home? Like, why are we here today? Like, I want to answer all these questions, but let's just hover up. Like, how are you feeling about owning a home? And man, I turned over the All About You, and it's here. I'll read you what I wrote. This is what they said. She said, you know, I just feel like I just want to be building equity. And then he said, I just want to have a stake in something. I've never really had ownership. And then I looked at him and I go, is there anything else? And he goes, man, I just feel like I need to plant roots.
Wow.
So now, like, that's the driver. They don't really have a stake in anything. They don't have ownership over anything, and they're not planting roots. So if Gloracell's still on the call, hey, I think if we pay the fee and get you ready, you'll be having a stake in something, you'll have ownership soon, and you'll plant roots.
Yep.
Like, so
yeah, for sure.
The weird part about empathy and time with clients and the practice of all this, and Michael, your suggestion, yeah, let's do it. Michael, I'll record I've recorded some of mine, but I really want someone, it's so funny to say, hey, let's literally videotape ourselves for 45 minutes in front of a client.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've done it. We just need to edit it and send it out and just let people, but it's me doing it. It's kind of like Phil Jones practicing with his fucking book. I've been doing this so long. I can improve, by the way, but like people, yes, record so that we can help. Or Mike, maybe you and me and Benton brainstorm a better way to get people to start practicing it so that we can help with it.
Right. Well, and that's the key too. Even if they can't record it, like, you know, have the meetings, and as soon as the meeting's over, make notes of where you feel like it broke down. Like, where was the breakdown? Where did it not work? Or where did it work, right? What was the result? Did you get the fee? What was the objection? I mean, we could still help with a lot of these things.
I think, you know what? That said, I think, Benton, we just create a quick little Smart Start meeting review form from the Academy. Hey, here's when I had the Smart Start. Here were some notes from it that like I need help with. Maybe we just create a little form we send out and people will get reminded. Yeah. In the end, the practice of this is slow. Slow is smooth. Smooth becomes fast. And Michael, thank you for sharing those statistics and being that detailed and diligent, because in the end, I know for sure my numbers are way better when I get the fee. I know they go way up when I have the meeting, but you're the one that actually like tracks it all. So thank you for doing that.
Of course.
I think next week, if someone can record, let's do that.
Yep.
Michael, we're going to roll out that 4-week, that 28-day realtor lender partnership challenge that I think can help a lot of people up their conversion for realtor stuff. And like in the end, you know, the fun part about what we do, Michael, is that like the Tony Tileman, hey, I'm just 3 good referrals away from a smile. And like, you know, you get 3 good leads, 3 good referrals, you have 3 good Smart Starts, you collect 3 fees for pre-approval. Michael Anthony's like, I'm getting paid. And I think that that's where like the difference in what we're trying to do right now is to ensure that our conversion rate goes massively up, and ultimately that we influence people in such a way that they go, dude, Michael Anthony was so much better than Rob. Yep. Rob's right around the corner. Not Rob.
That Rob.
Rob Smith. And then they pick you and they don't care anymore. You're empathetic. Everything you did, it doesn't matter if you're at 7.25 with a point and Rob's at 7 with a point. They're going with you. They don't care. They've detached because they know you're empathetic and you'll be there.
Right.
I know you weren't feeling great today, Michael. Thank you for showing up.
You got it. Thanks, Brendan.
We'll get the topic for next week, and hopefully I think it's that 4-week follow-up plan with realtors and lenders that we can roll out that isn't necessarily new, but we're trying to package it as Michael had the call a couple weeks ago on what he does in that first realtor meeting, and then that follow-up meeting when they come to your office. Michael, what we're trying to do with this 4-week plan is to create kind of I'm not sure it's for you, Mr. Realtor, but we found when we partner with realtors and help them through this 28-day cycle where you can come up with these 4 tangible things, and normally this would cost thousands with a private coach, we just want to offer it to you and hold you accountable. And we think that we've shown that once realtors that we work with have that, you're going to make more money and you're going to have a better business. So would you be against, and that's, we want to have just a pamphlet that's like, hey, I agree. And then they're coming into your office or you're meeting on neutral territory for the next 4 weeks. And there's purpose behind it.
Yeah,
so,
I love it. Stickiness. I like it.
Sticky.
Let's plan that for next week. If somebody happens to record a Smart Start and it'll be really good to dissect, we can sort of slide that in. Otherwise, we'll do that.
Perfect. Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. See you.